Hey everyone, Pastor Nick here from Trinity Kimberly Way with a little update on what you can expect when you gather here for in-person worship, especially in light of the CDC's latest guidelines. You know, as a church, we've always tried to balance two things throughout this entire pandemic. The first thing that we try to balance is listening to the advice of our health and medical experts. We believe that God has gifted them with the expertise to keep us safe and help us navigate through this pandemic. But the second thing that we've also tried to balance is loving and caring for our neighbors. And so I want to help you understand a little bit about how we're balancing those two things as we make some adjustments to our in-person worship service. But first, let's review what we're hearing from the medical experts. What they've told us is essentially the vaccine is extremely effective. For those who are fully vaccinated, the likelihood that you would catch COVID, that it would be a severe case of COVID, that you would get asymptomatic COVID, or that you would pass COVID on is drastically reduced. It's not zero, but it's extremely low. In fact, it's so low that what they're telling us is that for those who are fully vaccinated, they no longer have to wear masks, that they can go about life as they did before the pandemic. That is how effective the vaccines have been. And that has huge implications for what we do when we are gathered together in person. It has huge implications not just for the church, but for businesses and local community centers and gyms and things like that. And so, in light of the latest science, yes, we are making some changes to how we gather together in person. First and foremost, what our health officials have told us is that we no longer have to worry about capacity limits when we're gathered together. What that means is that you no longer have to pre-register for worship, nor do you have to check in when you come here. You can just show up on a Sunday morning and there will be a seat for you in this space. The second thing that they've told us is that we no longer have to artificially social distance our space. And so what that means is we're going to be taking the ropes off the pews. We had roped off every other pew to kind of maintain social distancing, and we no longer have to do that. You still should pay attention to your own social distancing when you're here, but we're no longer roping off pews. And so, again, we're very excited about what this means. We're very excited that we no longer have to check in or pre-register and that we can be gathered together with fewer and fewer restrictions. Now, keeping all that in mind, we then want to think about what does it mean to love and care for our neighbors well. Firstly, one of the things that the science is showing us is that there are those who received the vaccine and yet still have various health conditions which could put them at risk, especially those who are immunocompromised. And so while they're still gathering scientific evidence and data, I know that many doctors are advising their patients who have an immunocompromised system or some other health condition to continue to wear masks and to continue to social distance. And so what we've done is we've actually roped off a specific area within our sanctuary for people who have those medical needs. And if that's you, when you come here, let one of our ushers know. We would be happy to direct you to that section where you can be spaced out, where you can have those extra safety precautions so that you can still be joined together with us in worship. But at the same time, we also recognize that there's a lot of people who have been vaccinated, they're fully vaccinated, and yet coming back to large gatherings is still an adjustment. And I know that there are some people who, when they heard that masks were no longer required, suddenly became very, very fearful and wondered, should I go back to church or not? And so here's what we're going to do for you. Over the next several weeks, we're asking everybody who comes here to still wear a mask. Now, we're not saying that because of the science. We're saying that because we want to care for and love our neighbors. And we recognize that some people, we're still wrapping our heads around this new normal. And so seeing people wearing masks just lets us know that the people around us care about us and they care about our health. And so because we're all in this together as a church, over the next several weeks, we are still requiring masks when we're gathered together in person, even if you are fully vaccinated. I know that you are looking forward to a day when we don't have to wear masks in worship. I am too. But what we are asking you to do is, at least for the coming weeks, wear masks. Now, that will probably be changing sooner rather than later, but we want to give people time to wrap their heads around the adjustment and to realize that the guidance is good. And then we are hoping to eventually get to a point where we can take those masks off. The other thing that's not changing from what we did before is we are still doing the individual communion cups and communion kits, just so that we're still maintaining social distancing during communion time. Again, as we start to get more guidance about that, you can start to see our normal communion practice returning. But for now, we still are going to have those individual communion kits when you show up on the weekend. So what can you do to kind of help us and to help our whole community continue to move forward and get back to normal, get beyond this pandemic? Well, a couple of things. When you're here in worship with us, please wear your mask over your nose and mouth for the time being. It's just a way of loving your neighbors. Secondly, given that the ropes aren't up in the pews, be aware of your surroundings, okay? If you come into a pew and someone is sitting there and you realize by looking at them, they're looking a little uncomfortable, but maybe things are a little too close for comfort, just ask the question, is it all right if I sit here? Likewise, if somebody's a little too close for comfort, speak up. Say, can we space out just a little bit more? That would make me feel more comfortable. We're asking everybody to basically be aware of each other, love each other, listen to one another. If you have a need or a concern, voice it, and don't take it personally when somebody does. This is just helping us all kind of come back together as a community, so be aware of your surroundings. The third thing that we would ask is if you're eligible to get the vaccine, get it. We've already put out statements about why we think it's a good idea, why we think that there are good theological, moral, and ethical reasons, as well as good health and safety reasons for doing so. And I'm going to post those links again with this video so that you can do the research for yourself. But if you have the opportunity to get the vaccine, go ahead and do so. Not only is it safe for you, it actually helps to prevent the spread of this disease and protects more and more people. And the reason that's important is because there are still populations that can't get the vaccine, including children under the age of 12, and they're gathered here together with us in worship. The greater we can increase herd immunity, the more we can protect people, and we believe that the vaccine is a safe, good, ethical option for Christians. And again, I'm going to post all the evidence and research that we've done so that you can look at those for yourselves. But these are just some of the ways that you can help us as we're gathered together here in person. We look forward to seeing you on the weekends right here at 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. And as always, if you have questions or concerns, do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach me as your site pastor, or you can reach Jenny Price, who is our connections coordinator. We would love to walk you through the steps that we're taking to hear your concerns and to help you get back to joining us in-person worship on the weekends. As always, we continue to pray for an end to this pandemic. We continue to pray for everybody's safety and health, and we look forward to the day when we can go back to worshiping without any restrictions at all. Until that time, thanks for doing your part. Thanks for being a part of this community, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday.